Welcome. Let me know if this sounds anything familiar. This is the Egyptian creation myth. They call it a myth. It's what the Egyptians believed, so I really wouldn't call it a myth as much as a story. Let's see what they have to say and how close it is to other things, because it seems to me that creation stories all sound the same. Doesn't matter what religion, doesn't matter where you come from, they all start the same. Only the Mesopotamians and the Aborigines and a couple of others have any kind of stories before the past creation myth. Now, even the Bible says there was a time before it with Nephilims, giants, and aliens, or gods, whatever you want to call them. So, with that being said, there was times before time. And it's documented. Why can we not accept this?
Who created the universe and how might depend on where and when you were in ancient Egypt. The myths do, however.
There was multiple times where Egyptian religion did change. King Tut's father completely erased multiple deity system and came up with a one deity system, which was completely erased and replaced when King Tut came back into power. So, I mean, yeah, there's been quite a few changes, but the original creation without modification is what we're looking at. Mind you, all of these books have been transcribed multiple times and interpretations have been changed to suit the needs of the people that were interpreting them at that point in time. So, kind of take some of this with a grain of salt, but being that it's all we have to go by, we got to kind of take it as this is what they also believed. Why would they lie about stuff over and over and over again?
All share some common threads. It is interesting that so many mythologies have this idea that the universe started in chaos, or nothingness, to which order was then brought, leading to the creation of the world.
Even science has it for the Big Bang Theory.
The gods and humankind. Why do so many have this idea, and where did it come from? After all, the Big Bang Theory of the universe is a 20th century idea, derived from scientific observation. How is it that early people, 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, already knew this?
Because they were in contact with aliens. They were talking with aliens. Aliens were giving them technology. The Aztecs said that there was 4 resets to humanity. That goes back 200,000 years. Think about that one. Aborigines also talk about multiple resets going back hundreds of thousands of years. So it's not just one society.
For ancient Egyptians, the time before time, our primordial beginnings, start in a great sea of chaos, which they called the Nu. This sea of chaos was a formless void of unutilized inertia with unlimited potentiality. Within this sea was Nebertcher, which means the limitless one. Nebertcher became aware and desired to create the world and experience it.
So when it comes to Christianity, God, who built the world in 7 days and took a break for the 7th day, would be the one that came out of the primordial ooze. Hey, we're still following right along.
He spoke his name, Atum, and created his form out of the chaos. Atum rose out of the sea, the Nu, and realized he was alone. There was no land to stand upon, or others to experience. Atum spoke another word, the name of the firmament, and the waters of the Nu receded, revealing a great mound for him to stand upon.
Hence the pyramids. Alright, let's continue on, because the Egyptians weren't really the ones that built the pyramids. The pyramids are dated pre-Egyptians, so we've got to figure all that stuff out too. I do have some videos that are coming up about that, and I've got a couple of videos already up about that, so check them out on the channel. Don't forget, if you like that kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing all kinds of different content that has to do with history, aliens, religion. This is the Anarchist Necromancer. We don't go by the book. We make our own path. and we look at things differently than others.
Atum dreamed of his children, then spoke their names, Shu and Tefnut, creating them into existence.
Adam and Eve.
Shu was the dryness of air, and Tefnut was moisture. Shu and Tefnut desired to explore the expanse of the Nu, and so they left Atum to wander. Much time had passed, and Atum greatly missed his children and worried over them.
Now, this is a little bit interesting because I've heard another interpretation of this, which we have a recording of, so we can actually compare the two of them, but it's not exactly as this points out. But also, as he pointed out earlier, there is multiple versions of this, so they can be different a little bit.
He sent his eye to search for them in the chaos. The eye eventually found Shu and Tefnut and brought them back to their father. Atum was overjoyed and wept at the sight of his children's return. From his tears were born people and all the creatures of the world. While the eye was gone, searching for Shu and Tefnut, another eye had grown in its place. When it returned, it became distraught that it had been replaced, but Atum loved his eye and placed it in his forehead to watch over the world, and it became the sun, the god Ra. The other eye became the moon.
Which would be contradicting phases again, light and dark. This is a common theme.
Shu and Tefnut had two children, Geb the earth, and Nut the sky. Geb and Nut were in a constant embrace, and so their father, Shu, the air, would separate them during the day so that people and the animals could live there. Next, Geb and Nut had 4 children, Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys.
So basically what they're saying is they terraformed the earth for the people. Once the earth was ready for the people, they put the people on it, and then they gave them 4 gods or 4 head aliens to actually run the show and keep things in balance and keep things rolling. Gotcha. Okay.
These were the gods who would live among men on earth, with Ra ruling over them all. He was the first pharaoh. The god's role was to maintain Ma'at, or order and justice, in the face of chaos, represented by the great serpent Apep, also known as Apophis by the Greeks.
Bible's got a serpent too. Serpent wasn't a good thing.
Apep was the chaos that was left behind when Atum rose from the Nu in primordial time. Ra would travel across the sky every day in his
So snakes get a bad rap no matter where you go. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Except for the snake handling Baptists. They're just another level of
golden boat, until he reached the underworld, where he would do battle with Apep. This was the constant struggle in the Egyptian mythology, to keep order and prevent chaos from reclaiming the world and returning everything to the waters of the Nu.
Referring to the flood that reset humanity?
Including the gods and Atum Ra itself.
Here's the other creation myth that I found.
Nu was the name of the dark, swirling chaos before the beginning of time. Out of these waters rose Atum. He created himself using his thoughts and the sheer force of his will.
Same as the last one.
He created a hill, for there was nowhere he could stand. Atum was alone in the world. He was neither male nor female, and he had one all-seeing eye that could roam the universe.
Did the last one say anything about male or female?
He joined with his shadow to produce a son and a daughter. Atum gave birth to his son by spitting him out. He named him Shu and made him god of the air. Atum vomited out his daughter. He named
This is a little bit more graphic than the last one, isn't it?
her Tefnut, and made her the goddess of mist and moisture. Shu and Tefnut were given the task of separating the chaos into principles of law, order, and stability. The chaos was divided into light and dark and set into place. This
Sounds pretty same.
order was called Maat, which formed the principles of life for all time. Maat was a feather. It was light and pure.
This one's a lot shorter, but it's a lot more detailed. And I do like comparing the different stories because then you can take away, well, these both said the same thing, and then the parts that are not the same, you can inspect and research and figure out why they're not the same.
And Tefnut produced Jeb, the earth, and Nut, the sky. At first, these two were tangled together as one. Shu, god of the air, pushed Nut up into the heavens. There she would remain, arched out over Jeb, her mate. They longed to be together, but in the name of Maat, they had to be apart to fulfill their functions. Nut produced rain for Jeb, and Jeb made things grow on earth. As the sky, she gave birth to the sun every night before dawn, and by day it would follow its course over the earth and die at sunset.
Did we miss the part where the kids left and I left and he came back with the 2 eyes? Did we miss that part? And what about him crying out people? See differences.
Shu and Tefnut produced the other gods. Isis, the queen of the gods. Hathor, the goddess of love and beauty. Osiris, the god of wisdom and justice.
Last one had 4, this one's got 6. Inconsistencies.
Seth, the god of evil. Thoth, the god of wisdom. And Nephthys, the protectress of the dead.
This is what happens when you do not have consistency between eras. They had multiple deities, probably the 4, and then they went to the single deity, and then they went back to multiple deities, probably the holy cow, we've got a bunch now.
But the chaos was still vast and not yet fully separated into the order of Maat. Shu and Tefnut once got lost in the dark waters of Nu. Atum was desperate to find his children. He sent his all-seeing eye throughout the heavens.
Got lost in the dark waters aside from venturing away to travel. 2 totally different meanings. Completely different emotional pulls.
And earth to search for them. In time, Shu and Tefnut returned with the eye. When Atum saw them again, he was so delighted that he wept tears of joy. As these tears hit the earth, they became the first men. As the men
And that's the part that we were just questioning. Okay, so this one is just out of order?
populated the earth, they had to uphold the truth and balance of Maat. They had the task of tending the earth and worshipping the gods. The gods, in turn, protected and loved their creations.
Contradictions, similarities, but certain points will completely change the meaning. Getting lost versus wanting to travel. Being found versus returning with. Timelines not matching up. This must be the difference. All I can do is assume on this one because I don't know when these stories were dated because there's no information about that. There's just a couple of videos that I found. Not quite sure. It probably would go with the difference between the first generation, second, and third generations of the religions and the different religions that were in Egypt at the times of the different pharaohs. Mesopotamia had consistency between their gods. Granted, all of the places fought like cats and dogs, but at least their religious structure was sound. Problem being with their religious structure was people didn't worship all of the gods. They just picked certain ones that they liked as favorites and forgot about the other ones. When they were transferred over to Greek and Roman deities, then other things happened that we will get into in other videos. So yeah, let me know the similarities that you found between different creation myths that you've heard down in the comments below. We're going to be looking into all different kind of things. I've worked in industries and I have absolutely zero doubt that aliens exist because I've seen flying saucers and I've seen all kinds of weird stuff in the night sky that were never explainable. I've grown up around magic and studied history, religions, and different types of beliefs. Formulated my own ideas, and this channel is pretty much all about those ideas and sharing the knowledge with everybody else, gaining a good group of people that all have similar mindsets so that if something happens in our lifetime, we're ready for it. Y'all have a good day. See you in the next video. Check out one of these videos above and let me know what you think of those also.